Hey, what's up, everybody? Shannon, Type 2 Tactical. It's been a while since I put any content out, and I just want to give everybody an update. My family and I moved from southeast Ohio to southern Indiana in the last several months. It's been super duper busy, and I have not had an opportunity to put out a lot of content in that time, but we're going to get started again, and hopefully the content that I'm putting out, you guys are going to like. We are increasing in subscriberships and likes and follows on Facebook, YouTube, etc. But I wanted to take a couple of minutes to talk about leadership. We've had a lot of discussions lately about leadership and what it means to different people, and how effective leaders are good leaders. And I wanted to take a few minutes to go over the things that I think make an effective leader, and how you can change maybe your way of thinking to become an effective leader. Now, I've been to 1,000 trainings over my last 25 years in industry, in the military, about what makes good leaders, and some of them are long and drawn out, and they're horrifically long and tiresome training sessions. But I think I've narrowed it down. I feel like I'm a very effective leader. I've been leading people for many, many years now. And so I'm going to break it down. I've got a little outline here on the left. So if you see me glancing over there, apologize for that in advance, but I wanted to make sure I covered everything. Okay. So some of the key factors in being a really good leader are as follows. First of all, you have to have crystal clear expectations for your people and accountability. And those are two different things, but we'll break those down as we move across, okay? There's two different types of people that work for you. You have creative people that they're like engineers, management type people, engineering, design people, highly effective and trained people. And those type of people need a different type of leadership than, say, your hourly folks, your line workers, your kind of your working staff, clerks, etc. Okay. And that's not to put anything out there that says one is better than the other whatsoever. Everybody's a critical cog in the wheel, okay? But for your creative type people, management people, engineering type people, basically when you give them a job to do, they have to run the job like it's their own business. That's very critical. You have to allow them to run the job like it's their own business. Second of all, once you give them those expectations, the timelines, and the outcome that you desire, you have to get the hell out of their way and let them do it. You've hired them because they're smart and they're good at what they do. And micromanagement is only going to hold these people back. Micromanagement is horrific. If you are micromanaging people, these are people that you need to get rid of. And because if you have to manage them, they are not doing their jobs. And we'll get to that here in just a little bit. Line workers, clerks, laborers, things like that, it's critically important that you show them exactly how you want them to do the job. So this comes down to like standard work, making sure that, in other words, they have step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, because most people want to come to work every day and they want to do their job and do their job correctly. They just need you to tell them how they do it. Also, you need to empower those level of people to make decisions. You actually need to empower both levels of team members to make decisions, but especially at the line hourly type labor workers, you need to empower them to make decisions and also back them up when they make a decision, even if it's wrong. So you got to show them exactly what it is that you want them to do and how they're going to do it. Standard work is a really good way of doing that. Make sure that you ask them for a lot of feedback, because these are the people that you hire to do the job. They see every single nut turn, bolt turn, nail driven, and their feedback is critical. You got to get that from those people, and they want to give you that if you ask them for it genuinely, and you also move forward on the feedback that they give you, or give them feedback on their feedback that says your feedback is crucial. However, there's reasons that you don't understand why we can't or cannot do that way. So that's critical for them. Second thing is, and to me this is the most important thing, you can never put your team in a position where they cannot win. Everybody wants to win, okay? And what I mean by that is that you have to, in business, make sure that you're not taking business that you cannot succeed at. In other words, don't take on a project that you know with your current level of staffing that you can't achieve in 20 weeks or whatever your timeline is. Because the people that are doing the work for you know whether or not they can get the work that you're asking them to complete and the timeline that you have set forth to them. And if they know that the amount of work required is unrealistic in the time that you have provided for them to get the project complete or the launch of a new product complete, it's just going to cause animosity and big problems on down the road if they're starting from the get-go, understanding that they don't have the resources or the tools to get the projects done in the time that they need to get them done in. This is a real problem these days in organizations that are running ultra lean. Okay, and pardon me. And that is a big push today in these workforces, is to run ultra lean. And when you do that, you have to understand what your lean organization is capable of doing and in what amount of time. If you start out the project and not have yourself in a position where you can succeed and not have your team in a position where they can succeed, it's going to create a lot of problems down the road with what we call watchers and limit testers and doers. And we'll get to that here in a little bit. But never putting your team in a position to fail is key to being a good, successful leader. I don't care if that's in the military, I don't care if that's in business, I don't care if it's in construction, I don't care if it's in manufacturing. You cannot take a project on or work on in which you know you're going to fail, even though there's a lot of pressures to do that in business today. And I understand that there's always, aggressive timing in these things. But before you do that, you have to be very mindful of the impact that's going to be on the people that you lead every day. The third one is very much, you've heard this a lot, but it's lead from the front, right? Leading from the front basically means that, to boil it down very simply, is that you're not asking your people to do things that you aren't willing to do yourself. Number one. And for most people that are have created their own small business, they're entrepreneurs, this is very easy, because typically when you start your venture, you're the one actually doing the work. But it's also critical to understand and to show people that their lane is where they need to be. Okay. So it is not your job to go out and do your people's job for them. Right. So it's very difficult most times for entrepreneurs especially to separate themselves from the work and to judge people by the work they're doing. And you want to have good quality work, but nobody's more critical than you in the work that's being done, and you need to be careful about how you do that when leading your teams. It's fine to push for great work and even perfection to a certain extent. However, you need to make sure that when you're leading from the front, you're leading first, right? And make sure that though everybody understands their lane in the organization, and make sure that those lanes are respected by the people that you lead, and they'll respect you for it. The next thing is what's called, it's a very broad concept. It's called servant leadership. A lot of people are big believers in servant leadership. I think that to an extent, servant leadership is good. There are a lot of things though about servant leadership that are bad, because not everyone on your team or the people that you lead need servant leaders. Okay, so that's a whole nother video in of itself, and it comes down to the psyche of people that come to work every day. But great leaders understand which of members of their team need servant leadership and which ones don't. So atypically, this is not the case always though, but typically your more creative engineer type folks need less servant leadership. You just need to tell them what you need to do, give them the tools, and get out of their way. Not all though. A lot of folks that are in those types of roles, their personality lends itself to the effects of servant leadership. In other words, how do I help you do your job, right? Which is very critical, because as a leader, your number one important job is to remove roadblocks for the people that work for you, right? Servant leadership is important. I don't dismiss it entirely. I think that servant leadership though does not work for everyone. Some people need tough love, right? So great leaders identify those that need servant leadership and those that don't. A-type personalities, etc., typically do not. So moving on to the next one, to try and keep this video as short as I possibly can, is keep your promises. When you promise your team something, make sure that you follow through and you keep your promises. That is obviously part of leading from the front, but also basic human nature. If you tell somebody that you're going to do something, make sure that you do it. The next thing is also, I think, critically important, and that's called identify and cut cancers out of your team. Okay, so imagine that you have a square, okay, and that square is divided into 3 sections, okay, and the biggest section is in the middle, and then you have 2 skinny end bars on each side, okay. And I mentioned this earlier. You have the doers over here, and then you have what's called the limit testers over here. This is not a concept that I came up with. I learned this in leadership training, but it is absolutely spot on for human nature. The biggest part of the people that are in the middle are called the watchers. So you have your doers over here. These people are your A players, right? Your go-getters, your overachievers, the people that really grind hard. It's probably, if you're an entrepreneur, where you're at over here in the doers section. On the far right are the limit testers, right? These are the people that show up late, that regularly miss work regularly, don't really hit their productivity goals. They basically do the absolute bare minimum and probably a little bit below the bare minimum on your teams every single day. The big group in the middle are the members of your team that are the watchers. They come to work every day, they do their job, but they're not really spectacular. They don't really stand out, but they do their job, right? When we say those are the guys who are the watchers, those people in the middle are watching how you treat the people that are on the both ends, okay, as a leader. So they're watching how you treat or reward the doers, and they're watching how you interact with the limit testers, okay? So these are the people over here that are showing up late, again, not showing up at all, missing a lot of work, those sort of things. So they're watching most importantly, how you're treating the limit testers. And if you're not effectively managing the limit testers, okay, these are the cancers in your team, okay? They're the ones that are coming into work, spreading rumors. They're, talking about management. They're typically the ones that say the people that run this company are all idiots, and they're making those conversations every single day. They're missing work, and they're doing all these other things, rule violations, etc. The watchers are watching how you treat them. And if you do not appropriately handle the limit testers, the watchers will start to move from their box into the limit tester box. It's human nature, right? Because we've all been through it, right? It's like, oh my, this guy is terrible for the organization, and instead of firing him, he got promoted, right? And they're not being handled for their absenteeism, not being handled for their tardiness. They're getting away with things. So the people in the middle, naturally, as a part of human nature, are saying, hey, why do I have to continue to do this when these people over here are doing less, and when I can just move over here because nothing's happening to those people? On the opposite side of that, they're also watching what you're doing to your doers, right? The people that are succeeding, that are going the extra mile, and how you reward them. There's been a big move today to get away from an HR perspective, rewarding openly the doers, right? Because it's like, well, we don't want people to know that this person got a raise, because then everybody's looking for a raise, and these sort of things. So how you reward the doers, there's a lot of different ways that you can reward them, but it's, let's be frank, most people respond well to monetary rewards. We all work for money. That's why we work. I don't work for fun. I enjoy my work, but I don't work for fun. I work for the money, right? So I want to excel in what I do so that I can increase the monetary reward that comes from my work. So remember that the watchers in the middle are watching what you are doing to the doers and the limit testers. The limit testers, you need to relieve yourself from your organization and get those folks out of there, because they are cancers to your team. And those cancers will kill your team. If you have a team of 5 people and you have one person that's a cancer, that person will ruin the other 4 people sooner or later, okay? The next thing is, and this is difficult for entrepreneurs, is to hire people that are smarter than you, okay? Now, I've been to a lot of trainings. I've had a lot of people that are very successful in business and very successful entrepreneurs, and they absolutely work themselves into the dirt. And a lot of people will tell you that that's part of it, and it is a very large part of entrepreneurship and leadership to an extent. That you work harder. You are in the doer group, right? That's why you're a part of the leadership structure of your organization. But as an entrepreneur, it's important that you hire people that are smarter than you are, that understand how to do the job better than you, that you can count on and lean back on. Because I don't know about you, but my idea of successful entrepreneurship, and the people in my MBA class that were mentors in that class would tell me that I'm absolutely wrong. But the goal of entrepreneurship, in my view, should be absentee ownership, right? In other words, I should be able to reap the rewards of my hard work, dedication, and risk at some point, and go spend 2 weeks in the Florida Keys or Bahamas, or take a vacation every 8 weeks or something like that. And you can have those people that are smarter than you stay back and know that they're going to run your company in a way that is acceptable to you, and they're going to make smart decisions because they're better at it than you are. There's nothing wrong with hiring people that are smarter than you and better than you. That should be your goal at all times. The last thing, one of the more critical things for me in entrepreneurship, is a lot of times entrepreneurs and business leaders let their teams down because of their customers. Okay, and that goes back to what we were talking about before, and not letting not putting your team in a position to win. Okay, so if you have an ultra demanding customer, if you have a customer that's pushing you to take deadlines, etc., or pricing that you cannot achieve through efficiency or inventiveness, then you need to fire those customers. And a lot of you have heard this from me before. I've made videos on this before, but I fire customers. So, I have a customer order something from me. There's a 6 to 8 week lead time on the website. It's published. They acknowledge on the website when they order it that they understand that there's a 6 to 8 week lead time. And without a doubt, whenever something like that goes, you're always going to get that handful of people that are going to send you an email in 5 days asking you where their product is, even though they acknowledge the fact that there was a 6 to 8 week lead time. That's hard to get out. 6 to 8 week lead time, and it's just, they're the Karens of the world, right? The Karens and the Kens, right? They're the same type of people that go to the restaurant, eat 80% of their meal, and then complain about something so that they can get it for free. Or, they're the people that are beating on the counter at McDonald's when they don't, get their fries in their drive-through order. It's those type of people that you're always going to deal with as customers that you need to fire before you let your team down. Because if you let your customers force you into letting your team down and putting them in a position that they cannot win, your team is going to suffer for it. The customer is not always right. They're just not. And you will gain the most respect from your team because they're smart. You hired smart people, right? They know that if you've made a decision to fire a customer that is costing you or costing your business money, and you sided with your team and didn't put them in a position to where they cannot win. And when your team knows that and they understand that, the team wants to be successful with good customers and make good product in an efficient time frame or services, you're going to get a ton of respect from your team. So that is this video. Again, this was driven by a lot of discussions that I've recently had with a lot of people about leadership and what my thoughts are on real leadership. I think that you can apply these things to not only business, but also your personal life and your family life. Whether yourself or yourself and your wife or yourself and your girlfriend are the leaders of your family team. And how you interact with the members of your team is very critical. So I'll wrap up this video. Appreciate the time. I understand that I haven't put out content in a while, and I apologize. I covered that at the beginning of the video. Again, a lot more content coming. I apologize for the quality. If there's sound quality issues here, I do have some podcasting equipment coming. So we're going to kind of set these things up as more of a podcast type format. We may even get into some interaction with the folks that follow us. So if you would, I would appreciate it if you would take some time to like and subscribe to us or follow us. I don't have, thousands and thousands of followers, and there's no monetary gain for me making these videos. If you like the video though, hit like and subscribe, maybe share it with some folks that you know, and we appreciate it. We've been getting some traffic on our website. We've been getting traffic on our social media pages, and we've got some increased likes. Appreciate that. I know that this video doesn't really follow our typical format, which is gun, hunting, type 2 diabetes, type 1 diabetes, and health, your health around that. Ketogenic diet, etc. But we're going to get back to those subjects, and we're going to get them on them pretty hard. I got some things lined up. We're going to be doing P229, 6-hour P229 Legion review that I've been promising for quite some time. But we're going to get to all that here really soon. I appreciate the time. Hey, thanks everybody for watching. Like I said, hit like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the other side. Thanks.